Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a new product I put on my Little D. If you are new to the channel, Little D is my 2023 GMC Sierra AT4. It's got the 3.0 liter Duramax diesel motor, not the big 6.6 liter, so Little D. And after seeing my Little D, the guys at Leer said, you know what, Kyle, you need some protection on your Little D. So they sent me out a bed cover. Now this is the HF650M bed cover from Leer. It is a quad fold bed cover and it gives you access to your entire bed once folded up. And unlike some of the others out there, it doesn't touch your cab once it's all folded up. So I'll be going over that here in just a moment. Now you guys are probably familiar with Leer. They are one of the leaders in the bed cover and truck cap industry. They make products for almost every make and model out there from your four major truck companies: Dodge, Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Toyota. They make a lot of products, so this is just one of their products that works with the 2023 GMC 1500s that we're going to dive into. Now in this video, I'm going to be going over the positive and negatives of this truck bed cover, as well as a full installation towards the second half of the video, so stick around if you are needing help with that. Now to help you guys out, Leer is offering a 5% discount on all of their product lines with the discount code BLISS. Just put that in on any of their websites, including Pace Edwards, Bedslide, Leer, and you should get a 5% discount on all of their products. Now that is just to help you guys out. I do not get anything from that besides them knowing that they watch this video and that you like the content. So please use that code if you're looking to purchase anything, and to show them some love, head over to their Instagram page, which I'll link down below, and give them a like. Now as I mentioned, this is a quad fold bed cover, meaning it's got 4 panels that fold back and can stand upright here against the back of your bed. Now as I sit here squinting in the sun, I think one of the biggest advantages that Leer has with this bed cover over some of its competitors is when it's in its fully upright position on the very back side of the truck, there's a 6-inch gap between the cab of the truck and the bed cover. Now this is a huge selling point for me because I spent a lot of time ceramic coating, paint correcting, and just making the truck look good right when I got it. I really did not want something leaning up against the back of the cab or the window or my little mini spoiler up here. I just didn't want something rubbing up against it and possibly scratching or marring the paint. So again, a huge one-up against a lot of its competitors when it comes to this bed cover in the full back position. Now once you're ready to release the rod, there's a lever that you'll slide over, pull it off the ball, and put it back in its slot up top. Then when you want to cover it back up, you just drop it along the tracks along the bed. One other big plus is you don't have to open this rear section to close or open your truck bed. Everything fits underneath there and allows you to do everything you need without that open. Now a lot of manufacturers have just like a string or a little pulley here, which could be overcome by a coat hanger in between the bed cover and the tailgate, whereas Leer has put these 2 levers on either side of the cover here, and both have to be activated before you're going to be able to lift up that cover. See if I can get you a better view from this angle here. So you have to squeeze both of these levers to get each panel to move. Now this section does not have that safety feature. The rest of them do. So 3 out of 4 have this locking mechanism to be able to lift up the panels. Now this brings me to my my next point, which is kind of a con, but there's no real way to get around this. This gets pretty heavy the further back you go, because you're lifting each one of these panels, and that weight adds as you go down the bed. So obviously the first few aren't that heavy. It's not that big of a deal. I will say I'm fairly tall. If you are a shorter person trying to do this, you might have some problems getting some leverage towards the back 2 here. Obviously you can always get up in your bed, but I think that is just the nature of these foldable panels anyways. You're going to have more weight as you move back further into the bed, so just keep that in mind as you're taking this apart. Don't hurt your shoulders or your neck or your back or whatever else. Now, although this cover has 4 panels, there are only 3 positions that you should be putting this in while driving your vehicle. The first one is going to be fully enclosed like this is here. The next is actually going to be with 3 of the 4 panels all the way back. And you have these clips here that you will clip in to make sure when you're driving down the road this doesn't go flying forward. And then the last is going to be like I showed you, in the full upright position with the rods connected to the bedside to make sure this doesn't fall down while you're driving. Now, if you're the type of person who wants more flexibility with how much of that bed that you're covering, instead of just fully covered and almost completely uncovered, you might look at something more like a rollaway bed cover, something like the Jackrabbit from Pace Edwards, which might be some foreshadowing for a future video coming up. But like I said, for this one, there's only 3 positions, which is pretty much closed or almost all the way open. So be sure to keep that in mind. If you have different needs, you may need to look at a different type of product for your bed cover. Now, one of the biggest questions people have is, how do truck bed covers do with the rain and keeping water out? I mean, that's why we're throwing them on our trucks, to not only protect things, but to also keep things dry. So with that, I say you need to have the right expectations. Now, for rain, this does extremely well. I really don't have any issues with putting anything in the back and keeping it dry. I would put water sensitive items back there and really not have a problem at all. There's a little bit of water leakage, and I will show you in which spots that is. But that being said, if you're planning on taking this through automatic car washes or power washing your truck off and expect things not to get a little wet back there, I say you have the wrong expectations, but let me show you why. Now, I've had this truck bed cover on here for a little over 2 months, and one of the things I noticed is along the sides here, the rubber, it needs some time to settle down and to kind of conform to the truck. Right along wherever you have these folds in the truck bed, these will want to stay up for the first couple months, and even after having it folded for a while, there's a little bit more of a gap than there is anywhere else, and it's not much. But you do need to give it some time to settle down. Set it out in the sun. Some good hot days getting it out here will settle it down. Right up here at the top, this was wanting to stay up like that for a long time. So again, having it out in the sun definitely helps settle those down. Those were a couple of problem spots right at the beginning, but like I said, those settle down after a while. Just have the right expectation for them. Now, there are 2 other areas that I've seen with this truck bed cover with a little bit of leaking, and one of those is mainly because of the tailgate. You're just not going to get around a little bit of water leaking with these multi-pro tailgates, the ones that fold down in the middle and have a step. So you have these large creases up here, and obviously where your tailgate meets the truck bed as well. So you are going to have some leaking there. I've seen a little bit come through this rear section, which honestly could be remedied with a little bit of gasket tape or a little bit of gasket right on the end. Maybe this could shift down a little bit, maybe be fitted a little bit better and have a little bit better success. But again, when it's raining, it's not much, and it flows right down the backside of the tailgate and flows right on down. So really not a huge issue. The other area I have seen just a little bit of leaking is right up here up top. There's a little airspace that you can see right up here in the corners, and it's not huge, but it is enough just to let a little bit of water in. And again, guys, I just wanted to let you know about the leaking before you were to purchase something like this. It's not a major amount. I would have no problem putting water sensitive items in the back of that truck bed, like I mentioned. Going through a car wash, I'm actually going to throw up a video here while I'm talking of going through the car wash and what it looked like afterwards. You are going to get leaking going through a car wash. That just comes with the right expectations, like I had mentioned. You're going to have water coming in if you have high pressure going on every crack and seam of these truck bed covers. It doesn't matter which brand you go with, especially with these sort of tailgates, you're going to have a little bit of water leaking in. So just be aware of that going into it. You probably don't want water sensitive items in the back when going through a car wash, but during a rainstorm or sitting out in the rain or driving in the rain, that is not going to be a problem, I don't think. I don't have an issue with it, but I did want to let you know in case you guys were looking to purchase a product like this, just be aware of the small amount of water that does come in. So that is my thoughts on the Leer HF. So there's my thoughts on the Leer HF650M bed cover. Like I mentioned, I am going to be putting the Jackrabbit bed cover on from Pace Edwards. So I'll be kind of comparing a roll-up cover versus a fold cover like this one is. So be sure to subscribe if you are interested in that. I am going to be going over the entire install process now. So if that's something you're needing help with, be sure to stick around. So let's start with all the parts that the kit comes with. First, you got these rails that go along the side of the bed, and these come in 2 pieces. We will screw these together here in just a moment to make it one longer piece, and there's going to be 2 sets of these. Then you got all the clamps that are going to go along the side of the bed to hold these tracks in place. Depending on your model, these clamps will go towards the very end of the truck bed, which we'll show you here in just a minute. And then you have these clamps here that will hold the actual bed cover to the clamp itself up front. And this whole kit comes with Allen wrenches, which is pretty much all you need to get this completed. So it does come with all the tools that you need as well. So let's start with our track here first. We're going to just line up the grooves here, slide it together nice and tight, and then tighten down these two Allen screws. As you can see, those hold the track together to make one longer piece. So before we throw this on the bed, up here by this bracket on the rail, you'll have these double-sided tape foam pieces included. Just go ahead and throw these on the very front. That is just to help with some water getting into the truck bed. Now before I start throwing these rails up on the side of the bed, I wanted to talk about these clamps just real quick. This particular clamp here is specific to Chevy and GMC trucks. These will be going on the very rear portion of the bedside here, closest to the tailgate. So I'll show you how this installs in just a moment, and I'm only going to be using one of these because I have this old man rail over here which I intend to keep on there, so that's only going to fit on one side. The other clamps should be pretty standard between all of the different truck models. The way these work is once they are clamped around the bedside and the rail going on, you will tighten this bottom screw to push the clamp all the way up underneath the bedside, and then tighten this front screw to clamp that rail down. Once that's tight, you'll remove this bottom screw to get that out of the way, and that rail should be up tight against the bed. So I'll show you that process now. So over here on the passenger side of the truck, I'm going to knock out this little rubber piece on the back side of the bed because that's where the clamp will be going in. And I'll also throw up a screenshot of the placement of all the clamps so you have a good idea of where these will be going. But I'm just going to set this rail up against the bedside here and throw a clamp on just to hold it in place. I'm going to tighten that one down just so this won't fall off, so I can get it positioned correctly and get the other mounts on, and then I'll come back and tighten that first one. So over here on the back side of the bed, I've got these two pieces disconnected. I'm just going to take this block, throw it down, and hold it to where I can see the threads. Get my clamp inside of the rail there. There we go. All right, and when you're tightening this down, you don't want to give it the torque of death, you know. Just make sure it's not going to be moving. These are aluminum brackets, so they can strip out. But yeah, just make it to where it's going to be nice and tight and not going to be moving anywhere. And we'll speed this up a little bit here. All I'm doing is adding the other two brackets to the rail. Feel free to go back to the picture I posted of the placement for the brackets. 3 of these will be going towards the front of the bed. That's where the majority of the brackets are. And just that one is towards the rear. And like I mentioned before, you're really just using this to hand tight this bracket in the back all the way up against the top of the bedside. Once that's tight, come out here with your wrench, Allen wrench, and tighten that bolt. Once you start loosening this may become a little more loose. So just come back, tighten it down again. Take out that bottom screw. Then you'll just repeat this for all the brackets down the side. All right, so looking at the placement of all these brackets here on the passenger side, there's 2 on either side of that stud there for the bracket to hold on to later. One a little bit past that joint there that we put together earlier, and then all the way on the end where we put that first bracket. Now for the driver's side, we're going to do the same except for one thing, and because I've got the handle here that's covering up where that other bracket should be going, I'm going to use one of the regular smaller brackets and just put it towards the very end right down here, and then the other 3 towards the front like the passenger side. Now moving on to the underside of the cover itself, we need to put on the brackets that hold the rods in place while they're not being used. It comes with this plastic bracket here that will be screwed into the underside of the cover. There's a couple of holes there with some self-tapping screws that you'll use just to connect that bracket. Just make sure it is orientated the correct way. So this will be a little easier to see on the bench instead of on the truck, but I'm going to show you how these brackets install on the underside of the cover and how they'll attach to the bedside. So each side of the cover has these little notches for these brackets to go into, and you'll see this screw head is nice and wide to catch onto those lips there. There is a opening for that to go into, and then this will slide over. The bracket will catch onto the rail, and then you'll tighten this down. There's also a little cover for the end of the screw head so you don't scratch anything inside your bed. Next, you will gracefully as possible lift the bed cover into the bed and lower it into position. Now, this is pretty heavy, so be sure to get some help if you can't lift this on your own. Next, you'll add the brackets to the bed cover and attach them to the rails on the side. Now, Leer suggests that you don't have the rods connected to the side and the rear section lifted like I have here. I found it just as easy to do it this way as having the rear section laid down. I had a little more room and a little more light to see what was going on. So as you can see, that clamp is fully tightened down here on this bracket. There is a back hole and a front hole up here, and that is for your safety strap here to clamp on, and make sure it doesn't go flying off just in case anything fails. And we will do the same over here on the other side. Now, once everything is laid in track, you will want to check for fitment as far as how everything opens and closes. And that is a little tight right here at the end. I think the whole thing needs to move forward about 1/4 of an inch because it shouldn't be dropping down like it just did right there. This should be opening and closing without affecting the bed cover. So I'll go in, either loosen the bed cover itself to see if it'll move forward, and if not, I'll just loosen all of the brackets on the side, move those side rails up about 1/4 of an inch on each side, and then it should take that little bit of play away that it's making this bed cover rise. And that is something you will need to do on your truck as well, just to make sure it is fitting properly. Just a little bit of fine tuning, but really it's not hard to loosen those bolts and adjust everything. So it only should take me about 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to get to that and then show you the end result. Now, to move the position of the bed cover, I put it in its upright position, loosen all the brackets just slightly, and then move the bed cover back. This whole process took less than 10 minutes, so after you get everything installed and need to do some adjustments, this really doesn't take too long. Oh yeah, that's much better fit. It's not moving whenever you open or close it. There's still this seal inside of here, this right here, that is pushing up against, so it's making a good seal. It's just not hitting the top side of that cover. Nice. So there you go, guys, the full install process for the HF650M from Leer. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if you are looking to purchase any products from Leer Group, including Bed Slide, Pace Edwards, Leer, use the code BLISS to save 5% off of your purchase on their websites. I really appreciate Leer for sending this bed cover out for review and for video. Like I mentioned, I will have a few more products, including a Bed Slide and a Jackrabbit bed cover for some review videos here coming up, so be sure to stick around for that. I really appreciate you guys watching Life of Bliss, and I will see you soon.